Thanks for staying with us. This is Today with John and Helen live on Plus TV Africa on DSTV 408 and Star Times 308. And I must confess, I'm beginning to miss Helen now, but I hope that next week she'll be with us on the show. My first guest has a highly intimidating profile. He's introduced presidents, vice presidents, members of the National Assembly, state governors, cabinet members, and other top government officials, and countless corporate, entity mavericks. He has worked with scores of blue chip companies, forums, and associations across the land. And he is president of Power Talk Services, a public speaking and talk service provider business with a mission to provide first-class, top-rate solutions to clients' talk needs. His active portfolio includes roles in Teen Souls, Desperate Housewives, Africa, and so on. He's also done voiceovers for documentaries and radio jingles. Please welcome my first guest here to talk about the business of emceeing, Temiloluwa Awon Biogbon. I got it, right? Temi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I had to take that surname carefully.
Yes, I can imagine. It is indeed a jawbreaker and a mouthful. Awon Biogbon. That's how I usually pronounce it myself.
Awon Biogbon.
Yes.
That's a very rare. Anyway, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. So it's so interesting to have someone who operates in the same space with me, and I'm elated to have you on this program. But I think our viewers will also like to know a lot more about what this business of emceeing is all about. So I'll dive into the questions right away, okay? So now you've worked with high-profile clients, like we said earlier, and you've also handled several events. Could you please share a memorable experience or event that probably had a significant impact on your career as an MC and maybe shot you into limelight?
Well, I'm not particularly sure there's a certain event that I can say that this was what projected me, pretty much. But I remember for a fact that even before I started this business, I was a talkmate in season 1 of the Debaters reality television show hosted by PlusTvAfrica Productions, led by Moabudu and sponsored by GT Bank. So that was pretty much what gave me that platform to start what I do now. So that pretty much like gave me that opportunity and put my foot in the door. But when it comes to events, pretty much, I think I would cast my mind back to maybe 2011 or 2012, I cannot remember. It was an oil and gas event. It was an event put together by the committee, House Committee on Local Content. So it was a local content summit in Port Harcourt. And that was going to be my first time in Port Harcourt. So if I wanted to pick a particular event, I think I would pick that. I think I would pick that.
Yes, certainly.
It was pretty much my first oil and gas event. And the good part is that the audience did not know that it was my first oil and gas event. And thank God the event actually went well. So for the first time,
the butterflies?
it went well.
The butterflies?
Well, when it comes to having butterflies in one's stomach, the truth of the matter is this. We're all humans, right?
Yes.
And irrespective of how many years you put into the public speaking business, the butterflies will always be there. So it's now a question of what do I do with the butterflies? Do I allow the butterflies multiply and overshadow my ability to do a great job? Or do I just face the camera and face the people, face the audience, and just do what is most convenient for me, which is in the sphere of my natural skills, abilities, and talent. So that's pretty much how that works.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty much how it works. There'll always be butterflies. It's about what you do.
They're always there. So for aspiring MCs, masters of ceremonies, what key skills or qualities do you believe are essential for success in the business of MC, especially when you're starting as a hobby? What are the skills?
That's a very, very important question, John. Thank you for asking me that question. Now, what I like to say is this: the very first requirement is what I call personal conviction. I'm going to explain that in the next few minutes. Now, personal conviction is pretty much a three-part process. The first part is that you need to identify problems that exist in society that your business will be able to solve. That's the first part. The second part is that you need to accept the responsibility for providing solutions to those problems that exist that you've already identified. In other words, you need to accept the responsibility that comes with being a solution provider to those problems. Now, the third part is this: you need to accept that providing solutions to those problems you've already identified in the first part is your life's work and your calling. Now, those three parts together constitute personal conviction. For me, personal conviction is the most important requirement if you want to be a master of ceremonies. Trust me, it will stand you in good stead when the times, as we like to call them, get to be tough and rough. It will stand you in good stead when a client offers to pay you 5 naira, for instance. Meanwhile, your estimation of the value you are providing, is probably like 50 naira or 100 naira. But you have to accept the offer because you need the experience. And if you do not get that experience, there will be no opportunity for you to grow capacity on the job. And you need that capacity because you cannot be a master of ceremonies in name alone. You need to have a lot of events and gigs under your belt. And that is how you acquire experience.
So your portfolio.
Exactly.
Growing your portfolio.
Exactly. Because when you bid for a job, for instance, clients will ask you, what have you done before? It's a valid question, really.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't even have enough brand visibility. You don't have brand equity. You don't have name recognition. So where do you want to start from? So sometimes you need to take some of those jobs. You need to take some of those jobs. They're not exactly offering you a mighty amount of money, a considerable amount of money, but it's an opportunity for you to acquire experience.
Absolutely.
So that, for me, is the first requirement, your personal conviction. Because when you have clients who do not really appreciate the value that you bring to the table, your personal conviction will stand you in good stead and ensure that you show up for work and put out your A game and do a great job. So that, for me, is the first requirement. Another requirement would be language. For me, language in this context means your personal way of speaking, how you communicate your thoughts, your ideas. You know, the interesting thing, a lot of people think that being a master of ceremonies is just about knowing how to be articulate, knowing how to speak well, knowing how to speak fluently. But trust me, that is pretty much like 10% of what you need. A factor that most people choose not to accept its importance is time management as a master of ceremonies. And an example is this: an event is supposed to start at 9, but maybe because of African time, maybe some top government official is supposed to be there, and that government official does not show up on time, and the event starts at 11. That's a full 2 hours behind schedule. Meanwhile, on the program, the event is supposed to end at 4. And you know how Lagos traffic can be. People need to be out of wherever it is they've gone to latest by 5. So you need to be sure that you are able to manage the time, and all the activities that have been planned for the event still have to run their course. So how do you make that work? So time management is also a critical factor. Let me also talk about knowledge. Knowledge is also very important. For example, you have a corporate event and people are there to listen to a particular subject matter. Now, no one expects you, if it's a conference, for instance, no one expects you to be the subject matter expert. That's why they have the keynote speaker. That's why they have panelists. That's why they have moderators. But as the master of ceremonies, you are supposed to have some amount of knowledge, some relevant knowledge, knowledge that is relevant to the event, such that when you speak, you will sound intelligent. And when you pass yourself off as intelligent, the audience will be saying, yes, oh, I like this guy. Oh, I like this gentleman. Oh, he sounds very intelligent. And that way, you are also able to carry them along. So knowledge is also very important. You need to have the relevant knowledge that will fit the particular event. Another requirement is this: you need to know how to connect with your audience. I like to say that no two audiences are the same. For example, you can MC a wedding reception right here in Lagos between two Yoruba families. But trust me, that event is not the same as a wedding reception still between two Yoruba families in Iwo. No two audiences are the same. So you would approach the wedding reception in Lagos differently from how you would approach the wedding reception in Iwo differently, because the audiences are different. So no two audiences are the same. So that's also one requirement. Another requirement pretty much is the ability to find humor in situations. As a master of ceremonies, no one expects you to be a comedian. I always tell people, look, I'm not a comedian, all right? I'm not a comedian. I can't stand in front of people and crack jokes for 30 minutes. I can't hold the stage for that long. No, it's not what I do. But I have a good sense of humor. I like to see humor in everything. It could be a witty remark here, a one-liner there, an anecdote there, but the truth of the matter is this: you need to be able to see humor in everything, and that requires some level of spontaneity and the ability to think on your feet.
And preparedness.
Oh, definitely. Preparation is very, very important. You don't, I usually tell people, look, I don't walk into a room blindfolded.
Yeah.
So you need to prepare in advance. Whatever event it is, do not downplay the importance of preparation, advanced preparation.
Yeah.
You need to prepare in advance. Okay, fine. Because of the fact that I've done this for some time now, by God's grace, by January next year, it would have been 14 years. 14 years of being a professional talk service provider, as I like to say, because that's a general catch-all term for 5 service streams. But pretty much, people know me as a master of ceremonies, which is one of the service streams. So yes, because of the fact that I've spent a lot of time, a considerable amount of time doing this, you can call me at midnight and say, oh, Teminola, there's an event that's going to start at 7. And because of the fact that, okay, I have some considerable experience doing this, it might not take me so much time to prepare for the event in advance. I've had experiences like that. There was a client that called me at past 12. I was on my bed because I'm not one who goes to bed very early anyway. So I was still awake at the time, and I just checked my phone, and there was someone reaching me on WhatsApp. Our first statement was, oh, Teminola, I'm very sorry. I'm doing this in a very, very unprofessional manner, but hey, I need your help. There's an event that is going to happen in the morning, and I need you to be there. I was like, okay, no problem. What are the details? Where is it happening? What kind of event is it? And I was there about 2 or so hours before the event started. Oh, interesting. Punctuality is also very important.
Okay, you know what, Teminola? Just so that we don't turn this into a master class this morning. Let me just ask you. Now, in the interest of people who are not experienced in emceeing, right? What would you say would be the right way to manage challenges? Because we are always scared of the unexpected, right? What if this happens? What if that happens? Which do you think would be the best way to handle those what ifs?
When you talk about challenges, are you referring to challenges on the job?
On the job.
Okay, like you go to an event.
You go for an event, okay. You're going upstage, and all of a sudden the lights
go off. Okay, fine. Okay. The truth is, sometimes you may not really be able to predict how the flow will be. And for the most part, no one plans to have an event that won't turn out in the expected format. So yes, the truth of the matter is this: despite the fact that, oh, we had rehearsals all night long, we had countless meetings, production meetings, vendors meetings, the whole works, everyone who was supposed to do something was there well before time. When the show starts, yes, anything could go wrong. So at those times, it is your responsibility as the master of ceremonies not to be too hard on yourself. Try to be cool. try to be calm and try to be collected, because your composure has a way of being
Rubbing
transmitted to the audience. Yes, it can rub off on the audience. And trust me, as the face of the event, you want to be sure that you portray the event in good light. It also speak well of the organizers eventually. So sometimes when those challenges arise, your best bet is to try to take it in your stride. Don't let it get to you. Just accept it as a way of life and try to see how you can find a way out at those times, because the challenges can be pretty much from anything like the mic not working when you're already on stage and you're speaking into the microphone. That's not the time for you to wear a frown, because when you wear a frown, everyone can see it. And for me, I wear my expressions on my face, so I have to remind myself, Temiloluwa, you are on stage. You need to smile, because it was something that I actually did learn while on the show, the debaters. I mean, I had to practice the art of smiling. I had to practice the art of smiling, because I'm someone who does a lot of internal thinking and all of that. So it has a tendency to show on my face.
Okay.
So you need to be very cool. You need to be very calm. You need to be very composed. And just try to see how you can, well, in a way, make light of the situation and try to ensure that the audience is at ease. Because irrespective of what happens, you are still supposed to be in control of the situation.
Yeah.
So even if you do not have the experience, trust me, anything can happen at any time. So your best bet is to remain calm and to pass across information to the audience in a timely manner, such that they will also be at ease. Whatever situation it is, I'm sure that it will not last forever.
Yep.
And even if it does last interminably long, well, I'm sure that
And you know
once you are calm and composed, it'll be a lot easier.
what I call that is confidence.
Oh, great. Yes, yes,
Because,
yes.
you know, you have to remain calm.
True.
And you have to show
True.
confidence,
True.
control.
Confidence, yes,
So I've
true.
been able to coin that word, confidence.
I like that.
Yeah, I'll borrow you that.
Oh, great. I was going to ask that. Can I
load it?
can I borrow that from you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
In your opinion, Temilola, how has the business of emceeing evolved over the years? And what trends do you foresee for the future of hosting events?
Well, as long as life remains in this present form, there will always be events. Yeah, there will always be physical events. I know for a fact that when COVID happened, no one saw it coming. So the switch from physical events to virtual events was so rapid.
Yeah.
So it was a case of, look, this bus is about to leave the station. So it's either you're on the bus or you'll be left behind. But good enough. I mean, this is 2023, so COVID was pretty much 2020 and a little bit of 2021 and all that. So a lot has changed since that time. But the truth of the matter is this: going forward, there might be a mix of opportunities. For example, these days you don't have strictly physical events. COVID has introduced the word hybrid into the event lexicon in Nigeria. Before COVID happened, we never had hybrid events. You just had to be there. You had to be there. So now it will require a different skill set, because you don't necessarily require the same skills that will apply to a physical event as a virtual event. So the business has evolved in such a way that it now has room to accommodate unexpected events, unexpected occurrences, unexpected happenings. So now you have not just physical events, you also have hybrid events. And yes, there are still people, even in today's world, who still have virtual events, 100% virtual. So you need to be dynamic in terms of the skills that you acquire. Because trust me, I don't see that changing anytime soon. So it has come to stay.
So this is going to last for a while.
I believe so.
Yes.
I believe so. Most events are hybrid in nature these days. You can't take away the physical aspect of having people come together. But yes, in addition to that, trust me, there'll always be the online component.
Yeah.
So you need to know how to not only manage the audience that you can interact with in person, but also the online
The virtual.
audience. Because sometimes you even have your speakers, your panelists and moderators joining online.
That's right.
And when you introduce that kind of dimension into the event, that also adds some layer of complexity into it. For example, I was at an event last week. It was in Abuja, and one of the panelists was joining us online. So looking at the screen, I noticed that the icon, all right, it was a Zoom
Yes.
interface. I noticed that the microphone icon was muted. So in my mind, I assumed that that was her screen I was looking at. Meanwhile, it was the screen of the control panel, the technical guys, the media guys. So I was telling her, she was joining us from,
Please
is it
unmute.
Austria? So I was trying to explain to her, because I was trying to walk her through the process. Oh, ma'am, your icon, your microphone icon is muted. Can you just look at the bottom left of the screen and click it? We could not hear what she was saying.
Yes.
But her lips were moving, so it was obvious that she was speaking.
Yeah.
Anyway, to cut the long story short, it turned out that the issue with the audio was from the media team. But anyway, I didn't know. I thought that that was her screen that we were, looking at. But sometimes that happens. So that's also another skill set, because when you have that online component, you need to be able to interact with the online audience. Oh, ma'am, okay, you're supposed to speak. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, say a word or two, and the woman says, oh, yes, I can. Oh, yes, now we can hear you. So,
okay. So that's
also
that's
an
been
interesting
professional.
aspect. Yes.
Okay, that's been professional. And that takes me to the next concern that I would like us to talk about as professionals.
As colleagues,
in the
yes.
field. Yeah. Now, we have comedians. And a lot of comedians are getting even more corporate and serious-minded events than the professional MCs.
True.
What's your take on that?
I believe for a fact that everyone has their role to play. But the truth of the matter is this: it is easier to MC a role, MC an event that is not strictly a corporate event. Now, for example, I MC all kinds of events. I like to think of a master of ceremonies as being of two forms. Number one, you can be an all-purpose MC. Number two, you can decide to find a niche market to play in. Now, for the comedians, they do a great job, and I respect their profession. They're also professionals, and trust me, they are very good at what they do. I mean, I've worked with a number of them in the past, and I can say for a fact that, yes, they're very good at what they do. But the truth of the matter is this: when it comes to the corporate setting, for instance, you don't really find a lot of comedians that can make that transition. You don't find a lot of comedians that can make that transition. In fact, what created some space for professionals like us was the fact that a lot of clients were giving out their corporate events to comedians. Why? Because they had greater brand visibility, greater brand equity, and greater name recognition. So based on the fact that some of those comedians were unable to do justice to those events, to deliver on the job, the clients now started looking for other options. So that was what created an entry point for professionals like us. Because I remember when I started in 2010, a number of clients had that to say. Oh, I hope you're not a comedian. I hope you're not coming here to spoil our event. And those were their exact words. And I said, oh, no problem, sir. I don't do jokes, but I have a good sense of humor. Okay, fine. Let's try you out. And let's see how it goes.
So Temi, say no more. I think you've made the point. Right? I mean, horses for courses.
True.
Because if you want an event that will be managed by a comedian, please,
go get it.
Go get it.
They'll do a great job.
But if he runs your event from 1 o'clock till the day after and the day after, don't blame anyone. A professional MC should be able to manage your time and the content. So that's the point I'm trying to make. Now, we're running out of time. Could you please share some insights into the behind the scenes aspects of public speaking and talk service, that people might not be aware of?
Okay, what readily comes to mind is the fact that it's not enough to have a skill. For the most part, a lot of people are so, especially young people, a lot of young people are so excited about the possibility of doing what they love to do. There's this buzzword. I don't like to use it, but I'm just going to mention it because we're having this conversation. It's called passion.
Yeah.
But, truth is, look, passion is good. But, passion has to get to that point at which passion is able to pay your bills. Passion has to get to that point at which passion is able to sustain your standard of living. It has to get to that point at which, it's able to put food on your table and, clothes on your body. So sometimes it's not just enough to have a skill. Yes, hone your skill, develop yourself, ensure that you embrace personal development. But hey, you also need to learn the marketing side to it. You need to know how to tell people that, look, this is what I do. This is what I do. Okay, I'm available to provide these services. I have these skills, and I'm able to do so, and so. So until you learn that aspect, trust me, you're going to remain in one location, and it will be a case of no movement. So yes, you might have to interact with your family and friends, those in your inner circle, those in your sphere of influence, and if you're starting out, that might just be the entry point for you. If those in your inner circle have an idea of what you do, they might just, by virtue of word of mouth advertising, speak about you in some room where decisions are being made, and those decisions might just favor you.
Great. So, I mean, like we say, you need the passion,
True.
but at some point you need to polish the passion and
True.
make it into a skill.
True.
And then, of course, you need your tool set as well.
True.
To be able to deliver.
True.
And, I mean, you couldn't have put it better.
True.
Tim, so, now quickly, could you just tell me, now you've been involved in voiceovers, and other such areas, right? How has that contributed to your role or your performance as an MC?
Okay, the beautiful part about voiceovers is that you understand the power of inflection. Inflection in this case is how your voice rises, how it falls, how it matches the tone, and your pace, your volume, your tone, and all of that. So I introduce that element into my role as a master of ceremonies. For example, when I'm reading a speaker profile, I don't just go flat. I move very fast at times. Sometimes I take it slowly. Sometimes the volume is high. Sometimes it drops. So inflection just has a way of making it very, very musical. And for me, the voiceover element works because people cannot see you. You see, that's the beauty of voiceover. They cannot see you. They
So
can
you
only
really
hear
need to
you.
paint.
Exactly. So your voice has to paint a vivid picture in their minds. Because if you fail to do that, you will lose them. And when you lose your audience, whether it's a physical event or a virtual event, you're all by yourself and you're all on your own. So for me, that part of doing voiceovers helps to introduce the element of inflection. So for me, I think that's just the way to go.
That's just the way it goes. And I mean, you're right. You're right. Like we always say, it's important for you to be able to paint that picture with words.
True, true.
Your words paint more vivid pictures than even photographs sometimes. So I totally agree with you. Temi, I don't know. I wish this could go. I wish this could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And but I think we're running out of time here. And I want you to promise me that you'll be back again with us, Plus TV Africa, anytime we call you.
Sure, whenever I receive
That's if
the
you're not
invitation.
too engaged in Abuja.
Oh, well. Yeah. Whenever I get your invitation, I'll definitely be here.
Thanks so much,
definitely by God's grace.
Temilola Awobio.
Temiloluwa.
Awobiogbon. Wow.
A lot of people say that, oh, I like how you pronounce your name because it's a switch. You've been speaking English in the very,
And
very
then
fast and
the
polished way, and
authentic-
suddenly you don't anglicize your name and you go all Temiloluwa. So
Wow. So,
Thank
what
you
an
very much.
eye-opener there. I guess so many of us in the business of emceeing must have taken away a lot of tips from Temiloluwa Awonbiogbon. Many thanks, Temi, for coming to the show. Next time, we hope to have you
Thank you
with
for
us.
having me.
So next up, our second guest, an IT enthusiast and more importantly, an astute businessman who has influenced his space in many ways than one, will be joining me. But first, let's take a quick break. This is Today with John and Helen live on Plus TV Africa. Stay with us.